We are back, boys. We are back with Season 2 of Revenge of the Iron-Blooded Sword Hound. We begin this season on the day when people flock to the City of Water, Venesior. It is the capital city of the great empire, Rock. The day of Colosseo Academy's entrance ceremony, the world's most prestigious university where our boy, Vikir, will be attending. As usual, the first day is buzzing with the Academy's club recruitments. Freshmen and seniors of the school are all mixed together. The seniors are seen talking to every freshman that walked by their club stall, trying their best to recruit them. Even asking for a moment to fill surveys, and revealing that all they needed was to stamp their fingerprint and register their seals to join their recruitment form. The seniors were already feeling the heat as the freshman recruitment was more competitive than last year. Another senior reveals that the reason behind that was because of this year's freshmen for both the Fire Corps and Ice Corps, which were no joke at all. In this prestigious school, there are two classes in the academy. The first one being the Ice Corps, who are the members that specialize in swords, bows, spears and more. Whereas, the Fire Corps were the members who specialize in magic. Comment below which side you would join if you were a part of the school. Me, personally, Ice Corps, because of our boy Vikir and the Fang techniques. Moving on, in their 4 years, besides specializing in those fields, the students also learn all sorts of general knowledge. The seniors had a list filled with the freshmen who were all gaining everyone's attention right now. The first target of the seniors was a blonde kid called Tudor, who comes from the Don Quixote family, who are famous for their spearmanship. The second target amongst the freshmen was a purple-haired girl called Bianca, who came from the Usher family, not our Usher who sang Somebody to Love with Justin Bieber, but from a family that is famous for their bowmanship. Tudor and Bianca were the freshmen who were tied in first place during the Ice Corps practical exam, and are the first on the most desired people list. After them are our favorite triplets, taking 3rd, 4th and 5th place, are the Baskerville triplets from the Iron-Blood Swordsman family. Since they were a part of the Baskerville family, the seniors knew that no further explanation was needed in introducing them. And finally, introducing another new character to the series, we have one person who has been gaining all the attention in the Fire Corps. An extremely talented freshman, by the name of Sinclair, who has ash-gray hair. She was ranked first in the practical test and second in the theory test. Her outstanding grades were recorded. And lastly, the man we have been waiting for months, the person, whose name turns out to be the #1 student who came first in the theory exam. Vikir, who kind of looks like a nerd right now. We are now faced with a new look, Vikir with glasses. Comment below what you would rate his current look out of 10 right now. As our boy walked through the stalls of the school, he overhears the seniors talking about how there was no need to recruit the nerd that came in first during the theory exam, since they were confident that he would be the type of newbie that will ruin the club's atmosphere. Plus, there were also more than 10 other freshmen who had the same name as Vikir, which would make it troublesome for them to find him. After hearing the seniors speaking about him, Vikir had a nervous sweat drop dripping down the side of his face. In order not to draw attention in the academy, he had ditched the Baskerville surname and entered as a commoner, but he still didn't think it was possible that he would still draw so much attention. Vikir had heard that it's more difficult to enter the academy as a commoner, so it seems like doing well in the theory exam instead of the practical backfired on him. So now, he needed to do his best to avoid attention, in order to move around comfortably and to do the things he needed. But as he walked through the clubs, our boy was being closely followed by the triplet hounds, who were determined to protect their master. After walking for some time around the clubs, a loud commotion of students shouting for a senior to look at them catches his attention. A familiar blonde-haired student was being swarmed by everyone, shouting at her that they were huge fans, and some even claimed to have entered the school just to meet her. They couldn't believe the holiness that was coming out of her and that her beauty was something out of this world. It turns out to be Dolores Lune Quo Vadis, the priestess that Vikir had met during his Assassin's Creed days. She was nervous, being surrounded by a huge crowd of students, so she politely told them to calm down. It turns out that she was school president and vice president of the newspaper club. As she questions the crowd of students about whether they were interested in joining her newspaper club, one of them shouts with a reply that they were only interested in her. Vikir silently watches her from the back, slowly remembering that Dolores was the school president, and someone that he needed to avoid as much as possible. Even though he was hiding his presence, Dolores still somehow manages to sense our boy's aura, turning in the right direction, just in time to see him leaving the area silently. We now turn to see the academy's dorm rooms, where Vikir would be staying. He stands in front of a room's door, wondering if this was it. But as he thinks about it, another person approaches him, asking Vikir if the room he was standing outside of was his. The person was excited to finally meet his roommate, catching Vikir's attention. Vikir's roommate turns out to be a young-looking boy, with a bowl haircut, who introduces himself as PG. Vikir was stunned by the excitement coming out from PG, as our boy actually remembers him from his previous life. Before Vikir had regressed, PG was always a kind guy who helped him and gave him things, while he was here to support the triplets. But Vikir also remembered that PG was being bullied by his wicked roommate back then. Which was the start of the numerous misfortunes that would eventually lead to his end. As they entered the room together, Vikir hoped silently, in his heart, that whatever happened back then, wouldn't come back to this lifetime. PG was excited, informing Vikir that he could choose any bunk bed that he wanted in the room. He even asks our boy if he was going to the freshman welcome party after dinner. Sensing that it was a stupid question, PG reveals that the party wasn't compulsory but all the freshmen would be going there, since if he couldn't get close with his peers or seniors, he expected that their 4 years in school would be difficult. But Vikir replies with a simple nope, I'm not going. Which leaves PG in a completely shocked state. He tries his best to change Vikir's mind about not going, warning him that if he doesn't, the seniors will single him out, and that will eventually lead him to become a loner amongst his peers. He doesn't stop there, he even tells Vikir that a lot of their distinguished seniors were going to come to this orientation. Even the Saintess Dolores was coming too. He also mentions their peers, Tudor, the eldest son of Don Quixote, and Bianca, the eldest daughter of the Usher family, which Vikir should have heard about. But that's not all, he even mentions that the Baskerville's triplets were coming, who were all talented. Along with, somebody called Sancho from the North Mercenary Guild, who rejected the top spot at Varangian to come to their school instead. He finally mentions Sinclair, the student who passed the exam with the highest score at the Magic Tower, and who also came in first for the Fire Corps. Vikir couldn't help but be overwhelmed by the sudden information bomb that came from PG. In his mind, he recalls that PG was also great at collecting and analyzing information in his previous life too. After bombarding Vikir with all the knowledge in his tiny head, PG hopes that it changes his decision about not going. But our boy was cold as ice, replying back with the same old answer, a simple nope. Bringing horror and shock to PG's face as he wonders why Vikir still wouldn't go, even after knowing about what would happen to him. But our boy doesn't care, turning around to leave and explaining that he just didn't want to go. He waves PG goodbye and tells him to have fun, leaving him stunned but impressed, as PG vowed to be as cool as Vikir one day. Deep within the night as the moon shines brightly, a familiar figure stood high above on the roof of a building, basking in the moonlight. Down below where he stood, a small hint of light could be seen in the alleyways between the buildings. A group of thugs were gathered around a barrel used for fire. The one sitting on the bench was arguing to his two companions, saying that he was relieved that he didn't have to hear those children whining anymore. He continues to complain to them, revealing that all their storerooms had been filled with children recently, making the other two wonder why all the children were coming to them and that a carriage had arrived at dawn and taken all of them. One of them heard that the children they had taken were all headed to an orphanage in Quo Vadis, but the thug sitting on the bench warns him to not say anything more, since curiosity kills the cat. As they were talking, another person approached them, with blades on his back. He orders them to stop chit-chatting amongst themselves and to stand guard properly, if they want to get properly paid for their useless existence. Ouch, talk about a mean boss. This man with slashes down his eyes and his tongue sticking out is called Ron Batison, nicknamed the Flesh Grinder. The thugs were obviously afraid of him as he walked past them. He continued to trash-talk them, literally calling them pieces of trash and telling them that they don't possess any fighting spirit. He knew that as a graduator, these pieces of trash, who were low-rank mercenaries, without an ounce of mana in their bodies, could never do anything against him. Ron continues to wonder to himself if there was anyone strong that he could slice up, but as he was talking to himself, a familiar voice asks him if his name was Ron Batison. Thinking that it was one of the low-ranked mercenaries who dares to speak his name with their weak lips, he immediately grabs onto his sword to give him a spanking. But upon turning around, he finds all three of them completely knocked out around the barrel of fire. The man started to feel afraid, as he didn't even hear a single sound from when they were knocked out. The voice continues to speak to him, revealing his full name to be Ron Humbert Batison. Recounting that 4 years ago, he had killed his neighboring family and used them as sacrifices, while contracting with a known demon. The voice continues to recall Ron's history. After sacrificing the family, he had joined the Northern Guild Association, and had gathered information to give to the demon he contracted with. As the final nail to the coffin, the voice reveals that Ron had extracted information from the Mankind Allied Forces. While he was on guard duty, he used a hand mirror and revealed the location of the platoon's camp. Even after hearing all the things he had done, Ron tells the voice to stop saying useless things and to show himself instead. Agreeing with his request, our boy finally makes his appearance in his Assassin's Creed outfit, right behind Ron. Revealing that because of Ron, the alley platoon was slaughtered. Finally sensing that someone was behind him, Ron didn't reply back, but simply swung his twin swords as hard as he could at where Vikir was standing. He thought he had felt the sensation of cutting something, which made him confused as it was too easy. It turns out to be true, because in the next moment, both of Ron's arms were sliced away from his shoulder in a second, before he could even respond to the attack. Vikir is already done with him as he returns Beelzebub back into his hand, after appearing behind Ron once again and slicing both of his arms instantly, leaving Ron on the ground, crying and screaming in pain over the loss of his arms. He starts to beg for mercy, telling Vikir that he didn't know about the Mankind Allied forces, which made him wonder why he was doing this to him. Our boy simply replies that Ron didn't know about it, because it hadn't happened yet. He holds Ron by his hair, and stares right into his soul, revealing that he knows that he had contracted with a demon, and wants the information on the contracted demon. But as soon as Ron starts to speak, telling Vikir about how he didn't know, the shape of his face starts to twist and bend, in an ugly way. The next thing Vikir knew, Ron's face had become all swollen and exploded into a bloody mess. Looking at the current state of Ron, Vikir noted that another one had died with their head exploding. He then takes out a notebook, with words written on the pages, some were covered in a black stroke line. With a bloody finger, Vikir crosses out another name with the blood, noting that Ron makes the third in the row. It turns out that the book our boy is holding is called The Blacklist. This was something that was created with the memories of his past life and with the help of Cindy's investigation. The Blacklist contains information about the demon worshippers who sided with the demons and betrayed mankind. Before the time of the fall, Vikir needed to kill them all. He recalled that the 3 demon worshippers he encountered so far had all died with their heads exploding before he could kill them. Thinking about it deeply, Vikir concluded that this was the demon's skill. Which means that the demon they contracted with was hiding within the capital. And that it was one of the 10 elite corpses who had done the contracting with the humans. As we continued into the night, the bell of a church started to ring. With each chime, the sounds of slashing were hidden. We turned to a random building in the town, where Vikir stood near the balcony. Behind him were endless amounts of bodies, each having a part of their body sliced off, their blood splattered everywhere, from the floors to the walls and to the ceilings. Absorbing Beelzebub back into his hand, Vikir wonders if the amount of demon worshippers he had slain so far had reached number 29. Based on everything so far, he concluded that they were either dead, or if they mentioned the demon they had a contract with, their heads would explode. Which makes it look like a condition of the demon contract. Crossing out the names in his blacklist with a pen this time, Vikir noted that he wasn't able to get any information about the elite corpse's location, which means that this was going to be a long and excruciating fight for him. In the end, he didn't expect to get anything on his first day. As the night continues, Vikir wonders if he should return to the academy right now. And so our boy leaps across the roofs of the town's buildings, eventually crossing over the walls of the academy. As he lands on the branch of a tree, he gazes into a well-lit room. Staring deep within, Vikir could see that the freshman welcome party was still ongoing. As he leaps down from the tree, and dusts the dirt off his pants, our boy wears his nerd disguise once again. Thinking that he should stop by at the party just in case. Inside the freshman welcome party, the students were happily talking to one another and eating the food from the buffet table. Even the triplets were enjoying themselves, chugging down huge cups of beer all at once, leaving everyone around them impressed. Dolores was once again surrounded by her fans, who screamed at her, proclaiming their love for her. Tudor was surrounded by the ladies while Bianca was pouring glasses of wine for her seniors as a sign of respect. Vikir stood alone in the back, analyzing the situation. He notices Tudor and Bianca in the party. He didn't know that they were in the same year as him. In his previous life, the great heroes who led mankind to victory with Karmas morgue during the time of the fall. One of them was the person who stood at the front line of the battlefield and took charge, from one of the 7 greatest families, the Azure Spearman family, Don Quixote's genius. Tudor La Mancha Don Quixote, the blonde playboy right now. And the archer who defeated countless demons, from one of the 7 greatest families, the mystical Archer family, Usher's genius, not Justin Bieber, but Bianca Faux Usher. Besides those 2, Vikir was able to recognize a lot of faces he saw on the battlefield. He smiles to himself over this sight, as he didn't expect that he would see them like this. But as he looks around the party again, he wonders if Karmas morgue had entered the academy too. But as he did, PG was shaking as someone asked if they should get some music going. It turns out that PG was being bullied by a senior who was forcing him to sing right now. Vikir could spot our little boy surrounded by a whole group of seniors that were bigger than him. As he refused to sing, a female senior approaches him this time, bringing along a massive jug of alcohol and telling PG that if he doesn't want to sing, then he has to drink this entire cup in one go. Tears started to form around his eyes as PG questioned the senior about how he was going to drink all of it. But the seniors didn't care about what he was feeling, repeating to PG that he should just drink. Sensing that he couldn't back away from their request, after all, they were his seniors, our little man decided to do as they wanted. And begins to chug down the massive jug of alcohol they had brought for him in one go. As he continued to try his best to drink most of it, the seniors were laughing at him, and mocking PG by telling him that he was doing a good job. But before he could finish all of it, he threw up on the floor. Instead of helping him, the seniors continued to make fun of PG, calling him a crazy bastard for vomiting, which they found disgusting. As he tries his best to catch his breath, PG could hear the seniors making up a new nickname for him. They decided to call him the Vomit Pig. In his time of need, a hero appears. Our boy, Vikir, uses his own cape to cover the vomit that was on the floor, surprising the seniors. As they wondered who this nerdy boy was in front of them, Vikir looks over to PG, deep in thought. Thinking about him in his previous life, Vikir knew that PG had dropped out of school because he couldn't endure the bullying. Instead of graduating, he had become a low-ranked government official and lived a tough life while looking after his parents. The next time Vikir had met PG was when they were at the front line of the war, after the time of the fall had started. PG was one of the few people who had the balls to volunteer to go to the front lines. With his amazing strategy and information analysis, he had saved multiple lives. One of those lives was our boy, Vikir. It turns out that this little man was one of the few people that Vikir had respected as a friend. Still stunned upon seeing Vikir, our boy tells him to return to the dorm room first, as he was going to take care of things here. Vikir couldn't just stand idly by while his friend gets humiliated. A senior places his hand onto Vikir's shoulder, asking him about what he was doing and if he was crazy for interrupting a senior when they were talking. The senior takes it a step further, slapping Vikir's face repeatedly till it turns red, asking our boy if he was PG's classmate from Ice Corps Class B, after seeing our boy arrogantly step in like he was confident. But this senior made a huge mistake, as the triplets of the Baskerville clan finally made their appearance once again. All three of them had their eyes lit up with bloodhound aura, fueled by anger, as they witnessed the senior slapping their master. Vikir was still calm and collected. As he pushed his glasses up, his own pair of bloodhound eyes started to light up as he stared at them. The triplets immediately calmed down after recalling the warning they had received from Vikir. He told them before that he was going as a commoner at the academy, and that he would kill them the moment they reveal his identity. A female senior joins in, telling her friend that they shouldn't be rough on the freshmen and instead, they should treat them nicely as their seniors. She then comes up with a nice idea, saying that it would do the trick for them. She offers Vikir a chance. The seniors were willing to let both of them go, if he could drink all of the alcohol that was in the jug in front of them. Not wanting to pull our boy into his problems, PG tells Vikir that he was actually fine, but he ignores his words, and without hesitating, grabs onto the jug of alcohol. And started to pour it down his throat, surprising everyone around him. The female senior was giggling to herself, knowing that the jug was a mixed drink with high alcohol content, containing vodka and rum. So she was confident that there was no way a human could drink more than 1 liter of it at once. But she underestimates our boy, as he continues to chug down the drink without stopping, leaving the seniors all stunned and shocked. After some time, he slams the empty jug onto a nearby table, wiping off the remains on his mouth. Without wasting any more time, Vikir grabs onto PG and leaves with him, simply telling the seniors that were stunned by what they just saw, a single word, bye. But before they could leave peacefully, the same senior that was slapping Vikir's face grabs onto his shoulder, telling him to wait. The moment he does, Tudor and Bianca were the first to experience a horrifying and powerful feeling crushing them. The aura that our boy had been hiding up to now. With an ice-cold stare, and his eyes lit up, Vikir looks at the senior, asking him if he wanted anything else. But the senior was too stunned to speak, shaking from head to toe as his mouth was left wide open. That's when Dolores makes her appearance, asking everyone present about why it was so chaotic over here. The seniors were quick to cover their tracks, telling her that a freshman had vomited and that they were going to take care of it. Dolores senses something was wrong, and warns them that they couldn't treat the freshmen cruelly as they needed to uphold the image of the academy. Seeing that she was taking care of things from here on, Vikir hurries away with PG in his arms. The triplets on the other hand were impressed by their master, after witnessing the things he had done, giving him 3 thumbs up and calling him cool. Tudor and Bianca were both staring in the same direction, and thinking that they were mistaken about what they felt earlier on. But another student with white hair stood between them, smiling to herself over and was impressed by something. Her eyes were sparkling as her face was filled with blush. It turns out to be Sinclair, the freshman who ranked first in the Ice Corps practical exam and ranked second in the theory exam. She watches closely as Vikir leaves the party with PG, thinking to herself that she had found someone nice.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.